Unmute. Ras Caleb, we not hear you. Unmute. Yeah. Yeah, man. May I tell us, the brethren there is chanting from Florida, and he's doing a program for give thanks, Isla, Rastafari. I last year. Yeah. Yes, Japani cook. Yes, Aya. Give thanks. Yeah, the floor is yours, Black Iowa.
Yes, I'm on one say greetings to one and all, you know, blessings upon blessings. Give thanks for the invite to be here, another reasoning. I'm on living in Orlando, Florida right now, and we've been doing a cultural school in Orlando for the past 15 years, named the African Culture School, and it's a Pan-African cultural enrichment program, you know. Cause we already know say Babylon school system don't teach youths them about themselves, you know. All they teach them is about Babylon. So it's a way for them to learn about them African culture and the African values and just learn about them ancestors and these things where it is important for African youths to know, cause I them think they build self-confidence, you know, and just self-awareness and give them purpose and perspective in the world. Cause if them can't see the world as an African, then them not gonna know them purpose in the world. So yeah, it's a Saturday school model. It's all volunteer. I've been teaching there 15 years now. I am the only person who have not taken a break from the school since the school started. So I've taught all 15 years, all semesters, all 15 years. So it's a great commitment. And then over the last few years, we have started a program called the Sankofa Youth Initiative now, where we start taking the youth them to Africa so them can experience the culture firsthand, you know. We did 2 trips to Ghana in 2016 and 2017. And then 2019, we brought the youths to Ethiopia and Ghana. And then we're looking forward to doing something in 2021, but with COVID, you don't know, the world kind of left on a shutdown and slow movement. So we might have to push it forward to 2022, but we're looking at Ethiopia and Ghana again in the one trip. So that's pretty much where we are going with Rona.
Mwango.
Real, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You know, it's funny because I have come to Florida, you know, in the last 10 years a few times. I was there in January, and even there was a sister who I invited. I don't know if she's coming on the Zoom, but she was saying that she thought that the races in Florida and South Florida weren't doing a lot. Even His Majesty coronation, was there any activities for His Majesty coronation this year?
Well, I'm not in South Florida, you know. I'm in Central Florida.
Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando. So that's about 300 miles away from Fort Lauderdale or Miami, you know.
Yeah, I actually heard that there was a bingy in Jacksonville.
Yeah, man, there was a bingy in Orlando, yeah, too.
I was surprised because I've been to Orlando, you know, the whole Disney World thing. Cousins of mine, they are there in Orlando working in the industry. So I've been through there, but I haven't been to Jacksonville. So I have this impression of Jacksonville, and to know say Jacksonville had a bingy for coronation. and South Florida didn't have any bingy. Orlando had a bingy, but that's kind of curious, right?
I probably the first year South Florida don't have a bingy too, you know. Cause them always have one. Cause normally I down there I go for bingy pan. His
Yeah,
Majesty hurt strong, you know. But
yeah.
again, because of the COVID and we did want to limit the movements, you know, we just say, you know what, like we keep one in a town with ones and ones where we know and familiar with and try go someplace go. You know, try keep the crowd and the exposure limited, but same time, you know, honor His Majesty in the proper way that it should be done.
Right. I mean, you have to take a chance, but properly, you know, we are educated people, so we have to move the right way.
Yes,
I just for you have some ones just coming in to the Zoom. Ras Pennycook want to bless up the elder Ras Pennycook. Great speech from the last Zoom. I want the I just bless up the ones them Ras Pennycook. Yes, my elder. Aye. Yes,
Yes, unmute. You can hear me now?
I hear you know. Yes,
Yes,
fire.
my brethren. All right, what I was saying, my brother?
No, me just tell the I to bless up the ones them, cause
Yes,
you know
I'm just
the
here.
I there is an ancient monks we, and we have to give respect due to the elders them who trading from ancient Iowa.
Well, give thanks, I don't really consider myself that way, but, if they say so. But what I do know is that we have an elder who is now an ancestor named Marcus Selassie. And
Yes.
that name was given to him by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
So that elder, Ras Marcus Selassie, he did a work on behalf of all of us, right? Now, I could ask a simple question, if anyone can name me one thing that belongs to all Black people. If anyone can name me one thing that belongs to all Black people, right? That's a question. So, yeah, man,
Reparations.
eh?
Reparations for slavery.
Well, it don't really belong to us.
What
You
you
know what I
mean?
mean?
What you mean? It don't belong to you now.
We need
When a boss work him laborer and overwork him laborer. When him a give him laborer pay, you think say when the laborer get overworked, him don't want more pay and go to the boss for more pay. It's the conflict between the worker, you know. It's a nice and the employer and employee, you know, the employer want to cut your work, cut your money, and increase your hours. While the worker want him hours increase, yes, but extra hours mean double bubble or more upon the money. You understand? So reparations for slavery is something that is due, and it is one thing that is due to everybody in terms of the African descendant. You understand? No, more no,
I hear you.
differently.
yes,
I hear
sir.
you, my brother, and I don't disagree with you. I hear you and I don't disagree with you. But when I say something that belong to all Black people, really, I wouldn't say reparation, right? Because reparation is something that we must get. There's no doubt about it. We just have to know what we have to do to get it. And I think if we have that discussion, we can have a very good discussion as to what we have to do to get reparation. That's not a debate. But the reason why I ask the question is because His Imperial Majesty give we Black people a book of rules called Constitution for we, the Black people of the world. So for sure, we know that something is there that belongs to all of us. The
Understand? Yes.
Constitution from His Majesty, right? So that is one gift. And then Him give us land rights in Africa called Sheshimani. So that is two gifts that belong to all Black people by His Imperial Majesty. that to me, we don't really discuss it in the kind of terms that we should, because we need to discuss it in the terms of Solomon Wolf, Marcus Selassie, and what that elder did for us. And then now we will find out now what His Majesty has given to us and what we can do to discuss it as a family and then make the decisions together as to what we're gonna do about it. You know,
Yes, I, yes, I, yes, I. Give thanks, Ras Pennycook. I was admitting that I am also a member of the Ethiopian World Federation, Charter 43 from Unity Lane in Waterhouse. I was signed up from 1997. And yeah, so yeah, we are in the ranks. We don't dispute. We are definitely in the ranks, and we respect and honor the work of Solomon Wolf that he did, and he gave. We know that he gave his life. We went up to New York a few times, and we saw the strength of the service within the community that he did. You know, right now we have a brethren here, Timothy McPherson, otherwise known as Chief Semarco. I want to give him an opportunity to speak, and then if he has the time later on to expand on a currency that he's trying to introduce to the community. So I want to ask him to unmute his mic and introduce himself.
Greetings, blessings to the eye. More powers, more love to everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you very much for inviting me to address you this evening. By way of introduction, I think most of you on the island know me from my office in Accompong as Maroon Minister of Finance and Governor of the Central Bank of Accompong, and also as Maroon Secretariat for Accompong, Charlestown, Scotts Hall, and Nannytown. Probably what you know to a lesser degree is our latest development in establishing the Maroon territories as headquarters for the 6th region of the African diaspora. I believe this evening he would like me to speak about the Lumi, but I'm not sure if that's the point you want me to bring up right now, or if you wanted me to simply give this basic introduction and give all the eyes a peace and a joyful symbol of love, and even raise my feather of blessing to all of the eyes.
Yes,
shall
sir.
I
Yes,
speak
sir.
about the Lumi
Yes, sir.
afterwards?
Let's do the introduction, and I love the part that you said about the Maroon communities coming as one community and seen in Africa as a part of the African community. I want you to, give me more background on yourself and how your instrumentation in having this come around, that the Maroon community is being now brought into the fold of the broader African community.
Indeed. I just actually finished giving an interview about an hour ago with SABC, which is the South African Broadcast Corporation. And that was given in capacity with Cooperation for the African Kingdoms Federation. You know, to give an extensive background introduction to me might take too long. So let me just cut to the chase. At the end of the day, we have reached a point where the global African family must come together. And we see that the world is racing for another era, another age of subjugation of the continent on the one hand, and the global African family on the other hand. It is seen on the streets of America, it is seen on the streets of Britain, and it's even seen on the streets of Jamaica. Now, coming from a background in banking and finance, where I spent the last 20 years working in the German banking community, and also coming from an African activist context, where I was also the foreign ambassador for GCPP in Ghana. That's the Great Consolidated Popular Party of Ghana, which operates under the principle of domestication: eat what you grow, grow what you eat. What was evident to me, even about 14 years ago, was that, and of course the Germans knew it, that there would be a reset as it came to financial instruments. And now you see China coming forth with its digital renminbi. You know that the whole world is trying to get rid of paper currency and everybody is going digital. And the outcome of that would have been a complete new captivity for the continent and for the diaspora. And so in recognizing this very threat, it was beholden to me to know that we had to engage our sovereignty as Maroons and do what our ancestors did, because our ancestors took a stand at a time of political sovereignty, and now our economic sovereignty going into the future is at risk once again. And so it was necessary for us to take a leadership role as it comes to economic sovereignty. And so in creating the Central Solar Reserve Bank of Akampong, we created a monetary instrument which many people didn't understand because they didn't see the threat at the time that I created it. But today, people get it, and people see the reality and the necessity of having created that, because had I not created it 4 and 5 years ago, we would have no instrument to hedge ourselves away from this risk that's coming to us today. And so the whole purpose of creating the Lumi was to create an instrument of money for the African family that wasn't based upon fiat currency. Now, fiat currency is, as you know, this paper that they are printing all around the world. They print it in America, they print it in Europe, they print it in China, and it has absolutely no value whatsoever. Now, the African family has always, historically, had a currency of value. We are a bartering people. And so whether we were using cow, whether we were using shell, we always had an instrument that had real value to it. And so the safety net of the Lumi was putting together a currency that is backed, in the first instance when I created it, by solar energy, because we now have the technology, not the way that everybody thinks about putting up solar panels, but through science, there is a sophisticated technology to capture solar energy and transport it in the same way that you transport oil and gas. And so this is part of the knowledge curve that we have to go through in our sustainability, but I don't want to get into a technical discussion on that. But the point being that through our cooperation now with the African kingdoms, they've also committed gold to the Lumi. So it allows us to have what is now the strongest currency on the planet, a currency that is backed by gold and backed by solar energy, so that when the international community comes to our people with their fiat instruments, we can set them straight again. Now, as some of you may have heard, in our cooperationship and in our capacity as the economic community of the African Diaspora 6 region, we have issued an economic stimulus to carry the family through for the next 36 months during this time of COVID, or whatever it is that the international community is being forced to cope with. And that economic stimulus has a value of $100 US a month. In Lumi currency, that converts to 6.26 Lumi. Now, for some people, they say that $100 is not a lot on a monthly basis, but first and foremost, this is a supportive stimulus. And secondly, for our family on the continent, $100 is more than many of our brothers and sisters are earning a month. So it is really and truly a lot of support mechanisms to receive for the next 36 months. In addition to issuing the stimulus, you will have heard that as of last week, and I just finished giving a follow-up interview on it this evening, Her Majesty Queen Sheba had announced a proclamation made in cooperation with the economic community of the sixth region for the elimination of Africa's debts. And we have engaged the IMF over the course of the last 7 days. We have engaged the World Bank. We have engaged the president of the European Commission, and we have engaged the presidency of China. And we have given them a non-apologetic, non-equivocal notice that all creditors who have any claim whatsoever against the African family, against any state, any nation, any realm on the continent, must bring their claim forward to the economic community of the sixth region. And we will pay all of those debts. Because as Africa prepares to inaugurate on the 1st of January, the African Continental Free Trade Area, it is crucial that there be no debts on the continent. How can we begin a new era of cooperation between Africa and the diaspora when there's somebody else sleeping in our royal house? And so part of cleaning the house is cleaning the debt. And it's not about debating whether or not the debt is right, whether or not the debt is wrong, whether or not the debt should be paid, whether or not the debt should not be paid. It is about getting those creditors out of our house so that we can build our kingdom and we can build our continent and we can develop our people the way it needs to be built. And so we have engaged in extensive conversations with heads of government across the continent, stretching from South Africa to Sierra Leone to Egypt, coming back over to Ethiopia, to Tanzania, and jumping back over again to Ghana, Nigeria, and everybody and anybody that that our diplomatic team is able to engage with. And so in this era, at the end of these 400 years of captivity, as the economic community of the sixth region seeks to drive this, let me call it this reunion, this family reunion, this marriage between the continent and the diaspora, there is no room for philosophic discourse, and there's not even really room for debate. We have a lot of work to do, and when some of that work is done, we can return to debate and discussion. And the important thing for me, as it relates to talking to the I&I, is recognizing that in addition to the Maroons, which the I&I also is, that no other community on this planet has fought for the sovereignty of the Nubian the way the Rasta has. And so the community has a very special role to play as we go forward, and the community has to define what that role is. The community has been the educator, the community has been the guard, the community has been indeed that soldier. And somehow, maybe through discouragement, maybe through power struggle, and maybe just through life's experiences in general, there has been some confusion and loss of focus. And that leadership has kind of slipped away from the prominence that it once had. But I believe that can be restored. And so as it relates, coming back to the question about the Lumi and the kingdom, Obviously, we are talking here about a sovereign African money that has no strings attached and no obligations to anybody except for our sovereign African peoples. And the next stage of development will be a community without money. We recognize that because that's part of Zion. But as we trod that journey, we have to put some infrastructures in place so that those who don't have the overstanding as yet can come on board and acquire that wisdom that they must learn. And I believe very much that the Royal Rasta houses have that responsibility still. And so from the perspective of the economic community of the 6th region, and I will just close on this point, that everything and anything that can be done to support the house in building itself, using its own sovereign Black currency, to put schools in place, to build medical facilities, to build homes that we pay with our own money and build with our own hands, and to help the entire African family remember what domestication means. Eat what you grow, grow what you eat. It applies to all levels of economics. If you want to drive a car, then you should control the industry that manufactures the car. If you want to have a phone, then you should be manufacturing phones. If you want to have a computer, then you should be manufacturing computers. And I can only state unequivocally that in all steps going forward, I can support in any way and every way possible, because I believe that the Rasta crown is a royal crown and it must be supported in every and any way possible. Thank you.
Yes, I give thanks. Give thanks.
That's
I just
right.
want to say to the eye that my name is Macpherson also.
Oi, greetings. Greetings. From where? McPherson from where?
Jamaica,
No, but of course, but which part of the island now?
St. Elizabeth.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up in Kingston, but my grandmother is from St. Elizabeth, a place named Littitz. But she was married to my grandfather Jerome Macpherson in Black River. I'm also a
Okay.
Maroon,
From which community?
St. Thomas.
Hey, so
Yeah.
hold on. Now you've touched my territory because my people are St. Thomas and my people are Nanny Town.
Trinity
So
Vale.
yes, of course.
Yes.
But hold on.
My grandfather is Brother Wallace. My family is
Okay.
my family is related to Queenie.
Okay, so that means we have relations and we have connections, and so we're no strangers to each other.
You know that lineage come from Taki.
Of course.
Yeah. So we are cousins.
Blessings. Blessings.
Yeah, so
Greetings.
bless up, my brother. Ras Caleb.
Through the chair.
Blessing.
Yeah, Chief Samaka, Rascalemy, Kingston, Jamaica.
Blessings. Welcome.
Yeah. More express myself to the eye, and I think you need this expression because you need to know how young people think. You see? This loony seems real, right? I'm agree that currency must be backed by something real, and you gave a perfect example in terms of African society, whether modern or ancient, you know, how we barter and what we use, you know, as quote unquote currency, right? You say 100 US to 6 loonie plus. That's heavy.
That's right.
Why do you speak why do you speak assistance from the West, right? In dealing with it, also for the purpose, not only, but also for the purpose of repaying debt. You see, when we begin to speak We paying debt. We don't own a debt. We don't own a debt. That is what is indigenous. We know how we came here forcefully against our will. Hold on. We don't owe any debt. We don't own a debt. Right? However, for those who believe and accept that we owe a debt, why you don't get a debt forgiveness? Right? Why the loony can't be created as a part of the repertory process, which means that as a part of reparations and the repair, we need a currency anyway. You see what I'm saying? You made mention.
Can I say one thing to this point?
Hold on. I'm just about to speak and then you speak. I'm almost finished. One more minute. Then you speak. You said that there's no room for debate. I'm an academic. You can't tell academics or intelligent people that there's no room for debate, right? Because even when it comes to reparations, there's no room for debate, but we'll have to debate it, right? You said no strings attached. Why people don't fuck with people unless strings attached? You see what I'm saying? So whereas I support a loony, means a radical fire, I not trust that something. Rastafari, I don't move from different aspects in my life, and when I drop in a Rastafari, I realize, say, everything have to be tried through the furnace and get burned up. And what is left, that which is pure. You see what I say? So I just support the argument and the idea of a loony, but I'm letting you know that there are loopholes and as a result, there's much room for debate. The West doesn't do nothing without strings being attached. Mine would be naive. You see what I'm saying? And we cannot be naive. And I'm just making a suggestion to you. Don't leave out the formation of the loony, as a part of the repertory process fire. If we're going to get Europe involved fire, and them to help Africa and its diaspora, right, to set up its own currency as a part of the repertory process. That is just a suggestion coming from I as a reparationist as well, right? And you're going to have.
Let me thank you so much for this point. And truth be told, I agree with you. But let me tell you the difficulty that I have and where I have to disagree with you. And it's not even a disagreement really, because I agree with you. But here's the works of our people going forward. You see, if we don't eliminate this debt as we've now proclaimed it and issued it to the creditors, that they have 30 days to bring forth their notice of claim. Otherwise, they will be barred from receiving future payment. If we don't take this step and we follow another procedure, then it brings us into a discourse and a discussion and a debate that will last, it could last 5 years, it could last 20 years, and it could last 100 years. And truth be told, as I said, we've just completed 400 years of captivity, and it's time to press a reset button. And in pressing that reset button, we can't be preoccupying ourselves in debate and discussion with former colonialists about the debt or not the debt. So my approach in putting the Lumi on the table is to say, take the money and done with it. And now we're going to do a calculation, because now that we don't owe you any debt, now my Farai wants to talk to you about his reparations. You see, because you don't want to have a discussion about reparations while China is saying this country owes us this much money, and America is saying this country owes us that much money, and Britain is saying this country owes us that much money. You can't have a successful discussion of reparations in that circumstance. So from an accounting perspective, you pay the debt you owe them. And once that debt is cleared, then you can say, now let's talk about the debt you owe us.
Greetings.
Yes, Bridget. One second, Caleb. We have
An important question right to that. It's just about Haiti. Remember, Haiti paid a debt, you know. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Have you considered that?
You see, if you look at what happened with Haiti, that was a situation of one-off because everybody else was still captured. But when everybody is free, you see, because in this new era of Africa and the diaspora working together, and that's why the diaspora in this partnership brings our currency forth in cooperation with the kingdoms and deals with the debt. So that those colonial presidents on the continent who are working in those former colonial states, they understand that, hold on a second, the debt has been paid, but now it's us in the diaspora who actually hold that debt instrument. So don't think you're gonna go running back to the former colonial masters. No, 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 no. We have an agenda of African development, and that's what we're doing. That must be the focus. You can't abandon anybody. And by the way, if one of my brothers get shot on the streets of America, then I will enforce that the continent is putting some kind of, whether it is saying for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, or for the next year, we're not exporting anything to that place until they deal with that topic. You see, we have to rearrange our whole position of discussion and enunciation. And we cannot do that so long as we are in debt.
So we have to be equal. I agree.
From you take care of the debt, you reestablish sovereignty. And once you have your sovereignty under full control, then you begin to act like a sovereign. And sovereignty doesn't accept any subjugation.
So yeah, man, give thanks. Give thanks. Where is it? Black Iowa?
Yeah, I say a sound reasoning, you know.
Yeah, yes, I.
How we can sign up to the Lumi? How can one sign up to the Lumi, to the chief?
You know, if you go on right now on the Eco6 platform, it's just www.eco-6.com. Right there on that platform, there's a link that takes you to our payments platform, and it takes all of 5 minutes to register. And right now we give out the stimulus on the 28th day of every month. We gave the second stimulus on November 28th. It went to more than 60 countries around the world.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah. Brother Mark. Could you type that in into the chat to everyone so that everyone can see that? Just type it into the chat so everyone sees it and you have it there. But yeah, just as a record to make sure that you know. Respect. Also,
yeah, man, that's it. www.eco-6.com. That's correct. Thank you.
All right, perfect. And also, Jaglory. We have a tech person here, Chief Simarco. We were talking about the cashless aspect. Is it possible to discuss on what platform these cashless aspects of the currency will be so that our technical person can have some idea of, you know, how it was created?
Well, I mean, really and truly, the platform itself, which is a Swiffin platform, was created by one of our brothers who's living in London. So he has an official banking license in the UK, and he created the platform before the Lumi came to town. So basically, we've integrated the Lumi into his platform, and on his platform, you can actually convert Lumi into British pound and other currencies. But because we're trying to use the Lumi to build our kingdoms, we're not letting people convert it at the moment, because that brings us back into that same old trap of working with fiat money. And what I've insisted is that trend where we don't know how to keep money in our communities. And so it's something we have to learn to do, to capture a whole value chain, so that the farmer is working with the woman who's in the market, who's working with the man who's in the grocery store, and that whole value chain, we are working together as a team and as a unit and using our own currency to achieve that value chain. And that needs to be achieved in agriculture, and that also needs to be achieved in industrialization. It doesn't matter what the business model is, the principle must be the same. And that's how we build our economy going forward.
Yes,
Whether
sir.
you're
Juggler, yeah, Luber.
What's up?
How hard or how easy it is to track a digital type currency like a Lumi or a Bitcoin or something like this?
Well, basically, I don't know much about cryptocurrencies, but I do know, and I have a couple of friends which they host cryptocurrency farms, like what's the name you mentioned before, Marlon? The most popular currency. So basically,
Bitcoin.
they just the Bitcoin. They basically farm it. So my question to you is, brother, where are you hosting all those crypto currencies? Where are you hosting it? Are you hosting it in a cloud? Do you have physical servers? What kind of security policy do you have to protect the currency? And what are you doing with that?
Right. So as I said, and let me be cordial about this. I have a banking background, but I'm not an IT guy.
Right.
First of all, the Lumi is not a cryptocurrency. It is money proper, issued by our central Maroon sovereign authority. Secondly, in terms of its current distribution, it is distributed on an established platform. And so note what I said, the platform that we are currently utilizing was established before the Lumi was introduced to it, and it was established basically for interfacing British pound with US dollar, with euro, and other fiat instruments. So that platform is rock solid. It's been rock solid since its inception. And so we've integrated ourselves into existing infrastructure. We didn't reinvent the wheel on that one.
So how is the, wait, Luber, 1 second. We're just trying to get some basic information. Is it a card? Is it banknotes? Is it stock? How does it manifest?
Well, in terms of its usage, I mean, first and foremost, so I mean, we have our physical Lumi note, which is what we circulate in Akampong, right? That was what started the whole controversy back in 2018 and 17 when I first issued it, because people didn't understand how the Maroons could be putting out their own currency. So we have the physical note, and now we have, through our cooperation with the kingdoms, because it's now backed by gold, we have our digital note as well. And the digital note you can use on your phone, you can use it on your computer, you can use it with whatever digital device you have.
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah, that's clarity. Deborah, Wendy, I want some of the ladies to kind of jump into discussion and voice their opinions and what questions. You want to start, Debbie?
Greetings, Rastafari.
Celestia.
Hi, Leah.
Blessings.
I tried to sign up to the Looney quite a couple of weeks ago, and I was a bit perturbed by the fact you have to put your passport number and upload your some sort of ID, which, you know, the ID I would use would be my driver's license. I just wanted to know why you required that to actually sign up, because I know a lot of I will be a bit skeptical about putting, you know, things like passport number and ID on that sort of platform. So could you clarify that for me, please? Give thanks.
Right. So at the end of the day, obviously it's a banking platform, and it's for people to keep their money on it. So if people aren't putting an ID of any shape or form, then that means anybody could come in and say they're anybody and access anybody's account technically. I mean, we're dealing with real money here, and it's people's money, so there needs to be some protection and compliance as it relates to that.
Yeah, give thanks. It's just I wanted to just make sure it's safe that, you know, personal information like that is actually going up on that sort of platform. That's all. And I know a lot of I and I are very skeptical, because I reasoned with a couple of brethrens. I'm from the UK, and I've reasoned with some brethrens about, you know, signing up for the Looney, and they were a bit, oh, it's a bit, you know, ID and all of this sort of thing. And I just wanted to clarify that it is actually safe to do that. That's all. Give thanks.
Right.
Blessed.
Yeah. Only to reiterate, I mean, you can't open a bank account anywhere in the world without showing some kind of ID. And what we did with the platform, because what we recognize is, especially on the continent, there's a lot of people who, hello?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on the continent who don't have certain kinds of ID. So we kind of, because the stimulus is going out to people in some very rural communities, we started making some exceptions where we said, okay, we can, if we work with the local chief or the local king, then the local king can sign on behalf of this person and that person. But even in that regard, that became an issue because the Lumi's only been on the digital platform for 6 weeks now. And then we had some of the kings who were signing people on with like their pet name. And as much as we all have our family pet names, right? I mean, you can't open a bank account just using your one name pet name, you know, like that.
Yeah. Totally understand. Sister
Yeah,
Wendy.
You know, I mean,
give thanks, brethren.
Yeah, Sister Wendy,
thank
did
you.
you have a question, Sister Wendy?
No, I have greetings and blessed love to each and every one. I'd just like to say I've actually signed up for the Looney 2 months now, and every 28th of the month I actually receive mine in my account. So
Blessings.
I have about $200, which is as he said, equivalent to, is it 12 something now by now?
Absolutely.
So, you know, that's like my savings, to be honest with you, you know, because for me at this moment, you know, when they said the beast is coming out and it's going to be the mark, we have our own money to, you know, to trade amongst
You
us.
see,
So I would encourage everyone to really start joining. I'll get their accounts going, because, you know, sooner or later our back is going against the wall, which is already is, as you can all see for yourself, the New World Order.
the fact of the matter is, these economies are drying up very, very quickly. And so many, I mean, Jamaica's still okay, but I'm seeing many of our people on the continent right now where they don't even know where to find a penny. And so what we're achieving in these last two issuances of the Lumi is a situation where a family that at the moment has nothing is able to take that Lumi and find a local merchant who's willing to accept it and to be able to integrate it into the economy. Because it's something that we all need to just start doing immediately. We have to build our own economy, because the other economy is going to crush us. It's
Yes,
going
sir.
to crush us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Galaxy, who's on, one second,
So-
Deborah, 1 second.
Alright.
Who's on Galaxy 10? They were raising their hands before, but they have not spoken. You want to unmute? Who's on Galaxy 10? Hello? Are you there? Yeah, they were raising their hands before. They wanted to ask a question. And Titan Music at yahoo.com. Are you there? You want to unmute and ask a question? Titan Music?
That I am music.
Yeah, Tatayam.
Yes, blessed love to all.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Greetings.
Yes,
Greetings.
I would like to ask Chief Timothy, is the Lumi also available for those that are doing community development projects like a city, rebuilding a city?
So let me answer the question pointedly. At a personal level, the Lumi stimulus is available to every member of the Black family. I don't care where on the planet you are. So every African, I sorry to refer to us by a color because we're not just a color. Every African, every Nubian, anywhere on the planet is able to receive the stimulus on a monthly basis. And as it relates to development projects, the Lumi is available for every community development project. We are also putting a line of credit in place for all small businesses so that people can begin to establish a value chain to put a value chain of liquidity to engage their own value chain of the market. So basically, if you're an agriculturalist and you have a yard somewhere and you need to have a small loan of equivalent of about $1,000, we are giving lines of credit with our Illumi account so that those people can begin to do their work and interface with other people who are using Lumi in the community. And as it relates to cities, I mean, put it this way, on the continent right now, we're talking to the governments about debt elimination, and we're talking about developmental projects that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. So everything that speaks to the sustainable development of our people is an option to be brought to the table, and that must be seriously looked at. This is a new era. It's not about how do we make a profit. You see, in the past, what the last 400 years was about something called capitalism. And the only time a venture was viable was if somebody was able to make a profit from it. And now we recognize that this thing called capitalism has created a circumstance in which our global ecology is being under threat. And so now we talk about this very important word with which the I always has discussed, sustainability. So every project that will bring our people forward in a sustainable way, enduring the test of time, or as it was stated earlier, anything that can walk through the fire and come out on the other side, of course, we have to support it. It's not about making the profit, it's about supporting the community and bringing the community to the next level.
Give thanks for that answer.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Tatiam?
Yes, I'd like to have some more follow-ups.
Go ahead.
Now, if a budget was needed for a project, for say a million family project, would the bank be able to help to finance that?
So let me just be clear about the important detail. If you're financing a project in Lumi, then you need to achieve your value chain in Lumi. So suppose you want to build some houses, and the building of those houses is either going to be in cement, or it's going to be with cut and stone, or however you're going to build it. It means that you want to be able to pay your laborers in Lumi and your whole value chain in Lumi as part of the expansion of the Lumi. Of course, we can finance all of it, but what I always tell people, and I'm insisting, and I've said it earlier in our discussion in South Africa, what we're not interested in is people simply taking their Lumi and saying, how do I change Lumi back into fiat, right?
Right.
So someone brings you a currency that has energy and gold backing it, and then you want to bring that to a currency that has nothing backing it. Whether it's the Jamaican dollar or the US dollar, it doesn't make a difference. They're both fiat currencies that have nothing backing them from a intrinsic economic perspective. They're just paper. And so we're not prepared to deteriorate our value. We're not prepared to deteriorate our gold supply, which is being now put in place for our community to build itself up. We're not going to deteriorate that just so that someone can take fiat and go do something. So hence I made the statement earlier about forcing the community to trade with itself and amongst itself, and to learn to do that as a community. And
Yes,
so if
sir.
you can
Yes,
achieve,
sir.
if you can achieve
Um,
that, then certainly we can finance it.
yes, I was asking, has there been some discussions, or is there are they gonna advertise through the AU this the advent of a Lumi currency? Has there been discussion? First of all, has there been discussions with the
And
AU?
CARICOM,
Yes. So yeah, governmental. So on that governmental level, has there been discussions in CARICOM and the AU, and are they putting out through their public relations the promotion of the advent of this currency?
Right. So keep in mind, at this stage, we have started off with an aggressive approach called walking with the willing. So there's too much work for us to do. We have a secondary team that is interested in taking the time to nurture the non-willing, but ultimately our focal point is to work with those governments, those individuals, those communities that are committed to the empowerment of our people, to our people. Because for those who aren't committed to that as yet, we already know that that's another 10 year of debate and discussion. And we're not interested in spending 10 years in debate and discussion. So we move with the willing. And when those skeptical Toms see the movements, then they will come on board. But we won't waste our time trying to convince the unwilling. And so, as it relates to take it locally, I'm very grateful that Holness, Prime Minister Holness, took the time in early 2020 and in late 2019 to invite my dear friend Nana Adonkwe Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana, to Jamaica. I was very happy to see him here in Jamaica. I was also very happy to see that Prime Minister Holness invited President Kenyatta, the President of Kenya, to Jamaica. And I'm also very happy that the Nigerian ambassador, Janet Olisa, created the air links for a trial run between Jamaica and Nigeria. But the question becomes, do those activities translate into Jamaica's preparedness to create an economic policy in which, rather than focusing its attention on the USA or Canada and Britain, Jamaica is now prepared to focus its attention on Africa? You see, that's a very different discussion from handshakes and greets, right? To take it to the next level and achieve outcome.
Yes, sir.
So I'm
Rasbuki.
so,
Rasbuki, you had a question? Rasbuki?
Yes, blessed. Yes,
greetings.
greetings. I'm Rasbuki from Chief. I wrote you the other day and invited to our global reasoning today, Chief. And
Thank you,
we very
Madasi.
much
Thank you.
we're very much thankful to have you here, and it seems that you're very comfortable, and I'm very happy that you're with us, giving this great information, clearing our mind, because we're talking about decolonize our mind, and our mind is still so um, disrupt from our slave under the slavery time, so we can't even think strong enough that what is ours is good, and what is the others is bad. Rather, the others is good and ours is bad. So, for good, we have you here, and I like your solution for the diaspora and for the Black nation. We're here to support you, and I'm in Panama location right now, and Panama, Costa Rica. So that's two countries joined together, Jamaica. So if we could able to get to help you promote or expand the Lumi, that's why we wanted you to be here today to give us that confirmation that it is worthwhile working and pushing it across the diaspora with force, the Lumi currency.
Of course, of course. You know, and I apologize, I'm not going to be able to stay much longer in the call, but in terms of this level of integration, just keep in mind what I said. For the second stimulus issuance, it touched more than 60 countries around the world. And so this evening alone, before this call, I was doing the interview with the Broadcast Corporation in South Africa. And before talking to them, I was talking to our brothers, the Colombos in Brazil. And earlier this afternoon, I was in discussion with our brothers in Ecuador. And so what's happening right now is, you see, there was that old psychology of every man for himself. But the fact of the matter is, in our consciousness, we recognize that we are one people in one situation and one circumstance. And so that means that whatever solution I think is going to work for me must be a solution that can work for you, must be a solution that can work for the next man. Every strategy that we put forth must be a strategy of collective empowerment. Because I don't profit anything if I'm empowered and everybody else is struggling and down pressed. That doesn't make no sense at all.
Yes, I.
And that's what
Yes,
we have to
yes,
wake up from.
yes, I. Yes, I. Give thanks. Sister Wendy. Sister Wendy had said that she's actually receiving the stimulus. How do you spend the currency? Sister Wendy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Give thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of explain to us who have not used the currency as yet. How do you receive it and how do you spend the Lumi currency?
You don't spend it.
Greetings. Yeah, once again, no, I don't spend it. I'm saving it. Yes, Caleb, it's Sister Wendy from Shashamani.
Greetings.
Yes, I don't spend it as yet, and I don't think I intend spending it for a very long time. For the moment, you know, unless there is something that collectively that we can use it for. You know, for me personally, it's not an individual thing at the moment. I want to see it grow, and I want to see that we can, you know, take the market with it, basically, as the Black people. So, you know, for me, it's a savings until we reach that stage where we can say, yeah, I'm through with this. I know it's already is, but I mean, we can use it today, you know, more up. And as the advice was said, not to spend it, and I do agree with that at the moment, because, you know, for us again, we don't know how to save, I don't think, and we don't know how, I mean, they keep telling us we don't know how to save, but we don't know how to do things together. So I think this money will prove to everyone that we can do it. And that's my take on it still. I want to build a city in Africa.
Thank you very much for the debriefing on your experience and how you're utilizing it. And I think what's most important, what the sister has said, number one, she's received the funds. She's received both stimuluses so far. And one of the reasons for encouraging everybody to have their wallet is because obviously, as more people have it, then more people have something to use with each other. So if you don't have a Lumi account and you don't have any Lumi, then you don't even have the option to use it. But she has an account. So at the moment, she's not using it, but it could be that next week or the week after, she's walking into a store or through a plaza or through a market, and she sees somebody who's accepting Lumi. And she says, well, wait, you accept Lumi? And then she can just pull out her phone and make a purchase using the Lumi because she at least has the option which gives the wallet, which gives her the option.
Okay.
So if she chooses to
it's
accumulate it,
so
Yeah,
it's going.
so-
It's well, yeah, yes, Sister Wendy.
sorry, yeah. I mean, for me, my money was about for Ethiopia and building in Shashamani, you know, I mean, because that's where
even better.
where our heart is at the moment. So my sister from there is even calling me and says, "Does it work, Wendy?" I says, "Yes, it does, because I've got my account, and you know, and here, and also I know on the continent as well, as far as South Africa, you know, and other peoples who has actually have it and willing to start trading with it." So, you know, for me, I'm in the UK at the moment, lockdown, but I don't have any intention to use it here. That money for me is to go and invest right back into Africa. That's where I'm at.
Hours.
So a overview of what you're saying, Brother Timothy. So basically, you want all Black people in the world to buy into the concept of the Lumi. And using that concept, it is a monetization of goods and services within the community. Am I right?
Can I'm sorry, I don't want to play semantics, but I would like to just change the phrasing of that a little bit. I would like all of our family around the world to buy in the concept of empowering themselves. And once they recognize that psychologically it is time to empower themselves, to know that there is an instrument like the Lumi that is available to help them do that. So it's the same thing you said, but I think it's important because the Lumi is just an instrument. It's just a tool, like a hammer or anything else. It's an economic instrument, but the first step is always psychological for us.
Yeah,
and we have to know what it is we're trying to use the tool for.
Before you
because
go,
if you don't know, only to say, if you don't know what the tool is for, then you don't know how to use the tool. And so the first transformation is a transformation of a mind, right? You see, I'm going to give a terrible example, right? But if Cain took a rock and slew Abel, right? He didn't know the purpose of a rock, but he somehow figured out that he can slew his brother with it. But so he turned the rock into a weapon. And so that's a state of mind. Now we've got the Lumi, which is also a tool, but to make it work effectively, we have to have an agenda by which we are utilizing that tool.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yes. There's a thing, you said the rock, and I'd use the same example to say that David used a rock to slew Goliath. So
to slew Goliath, yes.
And that in that story, he was liberating his country. So one was subduing his brother, and the other was liberating the country. So even the same tool, as you said, could do the proper work. There is a Quado Zebulon. Where are you, and would you like to say something to the chief before he leaves? Zebulon.
Yes, sir. Greetings. I'm in London, UK. Yeah, I've been trying to get my Lumi today on the Sweefin platform. However, it keeps telling me it sent me an email and it's not coming through. But yes, I'm with the program, so that's all I really wanted to say.
Okay, when you say you're getting an email, what are you trying to do exactly? Have you opened the account already, or what are you doing now?
No, I was on the page where it says a stimulus payment, and then it takes me to the Sweefin
platform
page. Yeah, but it's trying to say, it says it send me a code. It's supposed to send me a code to my email address.
It may send you a confirmation code, but I don't think you don't need that for opening the account. You should be able to just give your information and it should open the account. You shouldn't be waiting for an email.
Okay, no problem. Then I'll try that when this is finished. I'll try that again. All right, that's nice. Give thanks.
Okay.
Greet,
Very important
greet,
when you enter your phone number, put the plus sign, because I know a lot of people forget to put the plus sign and it doesn't process if you don't put the plus sign. That's just an aside. So
Sister
All right.
Debbie,
greetings, brother Zebulon. It's Sister Deborah here. Yeah, there's no code that should be coming to you. You should just set up your account, put all your
Okay.
details, and upload your ID, and that should be it. You should be able to
yeah,
open the account. Okay, blessed.
thank you. Blessings.
yeah, man, give thanks. You see that, Chief? We have England, we have Panama, we have California, we have Jamaica, we have Washington, D.C. I bet you didn't expect this when you were coming on this call.
Powers and love. I'm very grateful for the communion with the I. It's wonderful.
True,
Very
true.
grateful. I do apologize. I'm looking at the time now, and so if there's no more questions, I will excuse myself if that's okay with everyone, please.
Yeah, man, bless up, bless up. Give thanks for the coming. And Ras Buki, you want us to give the vote of thanks to the chief for coming in? Ras Buki? I think him. Ras Buki,
Unmute him now.
he need to unmute himself.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, I was saying you want to give the vote of thanks to the chief for coming in forward and giving us the information and clearing up some of the questions from the
This is one
community.
of his platforms that of course, I'm very happy. I'm so happy, and we're very glad that you make it possible from your busy schedule